Hello everyone, I am the Golden Scouter, bringing you a Death Note discussion. So today with me, I have a very special guest, someone who's much more of a hardcore Death Note fan than me, so why not bring him on? And I've wanted to collaborate with him for quite a while, so how are you doing today, MrNinjStar?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm MrNinjaStar, or Ninja, as a lot of people like to call me. Happy to be making my debut on the Golden Scouters channel. And our first video together isn't like a Dragon Ball one, like how, we were talking about it like months ago and stuff, but it's actually a Death Note video, and this Death Note video, Death Note as a series is something I really enjoy talking about, even more than Dragon Ball in some aspects, but regardless, though, hope you all enjoy this discussion. Hope you all get your thoughts across this in the comment section down below, whether you agree, disagree, or whatever, and yeah.
Alright, yeah guys, so make sure you go and sub to MrNinjStar. He has a lot of great content, Death Note, One Piece, Dragon Ball, and other anime. So let's get on with the discussion though. What if L faked his own death? Or should he have faked his own death? Because one of the things is, in Death Note, L was kind of like, I feel like I'm going to die soon, and if I end up dying, can you take over the case for me? And the whole thing about this is, it would make so much sense for L to fake his death, because one of the things is, he never stopped suspecting Light or being Kira. So, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Nier and the fact that he took down Light, and a lot of people think that the show fell downhill after L's death. So what I think would be a really good benefit to the story, if it were to happen, maybe just a fanfic. This is basically a fanfic discussion. But I think that this story might have benefited a little bit more if L would have faked his own death, because it would make sense in the context of his character. But one thing is, he would have a moral dilemma doing it, because one thing about L, it just seemed like he wanted Kira to stop killing, and that he didn't want to pry himself away from the case for just the fact that if he were to pry himself away from Light, he'd be able to do whatever he wanted. But the thing is, if Light was able to do whatever he wanted, it was pretty much shown in the future that Nier kind of zeroed in on him because of that. Because he had all these access to files of all these criminals. So, just all in all, I think that the story could have benefited a lot more if L would have faked his own death and maybe reappeared in the last episode or two or something like that. And seeing Light on the run or something like that. But ultimately what it is, I think that it would be great if L were to fake his own death, kind of sit there on the sidelines and just scope out what Light is doing, kind of like how mothers are watching their kids, like, hey, don't get in that cookie jar. But then, once that mother is away, or once that father is away, that kid is going to go for that cookie jar, and then that parent can expose them. So, I mean, I kind of went on a little bit rambling there, but what do you think about this topic, MrNinjStar?
Alright, so I like what you said about the whole, maybe L being there, like, his whole death, like, I think, okay, so I'm gonna be honest, I actually thought L's death was one of the most necessary things in Death Note, because it showed, like, okay, yeah, Light's already achieved his goal, and now he's just going to be whatever, and that kind of leads to his insanity, because he doesn't have as much of a goal or as much of an obstacle. He's just kind of doing whatever, so that kind of leads to his downfall, because he's not really on guard or whatever. And, the symbolism of whole, like, Nier being, like, a little child and defeating Light shows how kind of corrupt and how blinded Light was to, like, such simple mistakes, and how this power completely corrupted him. I like that symbolism, but I feel if L maybe faked his own death and was on the sidelines, like, spectating Nier, it would have made for a lot more of a, how do I put it, a lot more better explained, thing for how Nier was able to defeat Light. Because you could still, I like that idea, like, little mini storyline of how Light gets defeated, Light loses due to his own selfishness, everything like that. I like that. But the problem is how and who he got defeated by. Nier is just kind of an out-of-there character. Like, I understand, he came from the same facility as L, which is why he became so smart. I'm fine with that. It's just that I feel L is like 23, right? Nier is like, I would assume, I don't know the exact age of Nier, but he's pretty young from what we can see. And I feel if L was maybe on the sidelines, like, spectating Nier, like, he's like, okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna die sooner or later. I have a gut feeling, so I might as well just, try to help out this kid from the new generation, trying to take down the criminals like this, everything like that. I like that idea. Could have been really interesting, and I don't mean to get too rambly here, but I feel if L could have maybe worked out a deal with Rem. And Rem was able to write L's name in the Death Note as instructed by Light, because Light was planning to, you know, blackmail Misa and everything like that. Rem cared for Misa, so she wasn't going to allow for that. She wrote L's name in the Death Note, and thus that killed herself, essentially. And that works, but I feel if there was like an alternative where maybe L sees, like, goes up to Rem, like there's maybe a scene where Rem's kind of conflicted, and then we see L like, yo, I have a deal for you. You may still end up dying, but if we can fool Light well enough, then it can potentially work out. He can still be defeated at the end of the day. Rem takes his word for it. Maybe, like, I don't know, because Light is a very intelligent dude, like, as we've seen. He's gonna know if Rem doesn't die by writing someone's name, something's up, so maybe Rem fakes her own death as well. Same with Watari and L. Like, we're seeing Light is seeing Rem write L's name, and then L collapses, essentially, because we know L and Light, if L was just a regular guy pretending to be dead, Light would see through that, but we know L would be able to, L is, like, I think he's on the same extremely high intelligence level as Light, so he's be able to find a way to make it work. Light would believe it, and maybe now that he's faked his death or something, and he comes back, he realizes, oh shoot, Nier's the thing, I might as well go help him out. And then while Light's going around thinking L is dead, thinking there's nothing to stop him, L was actually working behind the shadows trying to take down Light this whole time, and that could be very fascinating to see. And then that's when it all ties back together, the reveal that, oh my gosh, L's alive or something like that. That would have been so much more, that would have probably been the most, like, how do I put this, plot twisting moment in Death Note. That could have been certainly something. I knew Madhouse probably would have done that scene well, but I mean, it is what it is, you know. The anime / manga did their own thing with it. That's how the storyline played out. I'm not upset about it. I just feel like this way that you and I were talking about is a lot better. Oh my gosh, man, I am so sorry. I've been rambling on for, like, I don't know, a few minutes now. What are your thoughts? Would you like to add anything? Whatever.
I really like the idea of L reasoning or just negotiating with Rem, because one of the things is that Rem and L both knew that Light didn't really give a crap about Misa, and that Light was basically just using her the whole time. I would have really liked to see just L and Light actually have, like, a fist fight to the death or something like that. Because one thing that we saw earlier in the series, like whenever L was, like, all depressed, they actually threw some pretty mean hits at each other. And Light has never killed anyone without the Death Note. So I think that it would actually be kind of interesting and almost poetic in a way for Light to kill L with his own hands, like in a fist fight. Because one thing that kind of disappointed me was that there was no, like, major battle between the two of them. And I know it's not like a shonen anime or anything like that, they don't have any superpowers. I would have liked to see if Light and L were just to have that whole man-to-man thing, like, we're settling this here. No guns, no Death Note, right here, right now. You're busted, so you have no choice but to face me right now. Because I would imagine that if L were to be reintroduced whenever he faked his own death, it would be after Light was busted, for sure. Because I don't see L coming out of the woodwork while Light still has the Death Note and not in cuffs, or not on the run. But what do you think about that, MrNinjStar?
I was just thinking, like, it could work, like what you were saying about the whole poetic thing where Light it kind of defeats L with his own hands, because we haven't seen Death Note. Death Note, we did see, like, a little sort of fist fight between L and Light. Like, L had the whole, like, he kicked Light, and then Light tried to throw a punch, and then it had to be broken up. That's interesting, and I get what you mean, but I feel like with the way Death Note is structured, it wouldn't really make as much sense for it to be, like, let's say, end off in a fist fight rather than a mind game, because that's what a lot of Death Note is, mind games. Yes, Death Note is technically a shonen. It was published in Shonen Jump Weekly, but it's not your stereotypical shonen like a One Piece or a Dragon Ball or a Naruto or a Bleach or whatever. It's not like that. It's kind of its own thing, and that's why, like, I didn't believe it at first when it was a shonen anime. So I get what you mean, but I just feel like it wouldn't fit well with what we've seen so far. But the idea that Light kills L and L actually does maybe kill Light somehow, like, I don't know, maybe there was a deal like this whole time, like L was able to predict, or L knew that Ryuk was like, maybe Ryuk was gonna be like, yo, I see what you're doing with Rem. Like after that meeting with Rem, we get like a little flashback where Ryuk's like, yo, I see what you're doing with Rem there. So you're planning on being potentially taken out by Light, and then you foil your plans. So it's like, what, wouldn't it be funny if I just like, I don't know, write his name and then that you both die? L's like, whatever pleases you, Ryuk. And then like, I don't know, it would be something funny to see. Like Light is just so angry at his mistakes, and L's like, yep, I outsmarted you, dude. Everyone sees he's Kira. Light decides, you know what, writing L's name down right now, actually no, he wouldn't be able to, so maybe he orders like Ryuk or something to write L's name down. Ryuk does write L's name because, you know, Shinigami eyes and everything, but then he's also, and Light's laughing so much. Like we get like that one scene from the funeral where, or like there was that one scene in L's funeral where Light was just laughing maniacally, and maybe we get that again. But then Ryuk's just like, yo, remember, might want to check your note again, fam. And then Light just checks, then he sees his name written down, and then he like dies of a heart attack. That would just be funny and wild to see. And then Nier just sees like, oh my gosh. That's certainly something. And then maybe you could still fit in that emotional scene where Matsuda shoots Light, and Light reflects back to his earlier memories before the Death Note, and like maybe he's running away and everything like that. And he's like, at least got L's name written down, and then Ryuk shows, you know, he wrote it down as well. That was kind of rambly. I know we're having like these like long back and forths, but what are your thoughts, dude?
Like you were saying, like, it doesn't make too much sense in the context of Death Note, because that's not what Death Note is. It's more about Battle of Wits. And to me, like what we were saying earlier about Nier and L, I would have loved to see L coach Nier from the sidelines. It would have made so much more sense about how Nier just zeroed in on L so quickly, and then figured out how to take him down. Oh yeah, but we were saying earlier about Ryuk. That would make so much sense for his character, because in the manga, I'm sure you know, but whenever Light was like, write their names down in the notebook, and Ryuk was just like, you're calling for my help, so that means now I have to write your name down in the notebook. So to me, that would make so much sense. Or if L were to be the one to write Light's name in the notebook, because one thing about L and Nier, they were both too moral to ever want to use the Death Note themselves. So it would be really interesting to see them compromise their morals. I mean, especially since L already has done something morally deplorable in a way by putting Light and Misa in solitary confinement.
Yeah, L's. I just wanted to add. Yeah, I just wanted to add, L is not exactly, like, I did this in my discussion from a few weeks back. I did, like, who's the true hero of Death Note. Fact of the matter is, no one's truly perfect. Like, L is not that justifiable as a person. You saw what he was doing to Misa. I'm pretty sure that's illegal in not only Japan, but, I mean, who knows, it might be illegal, we don't know, but that's not necessarily like a very moral thing to do, even if it's in the name of logic, even if it's in the name of justice, law, everything like that. That's still not morally right to do something like that. So with something like L writing name down, I could still see him doing that. Like, I remember there was one scene, like the ending scene of the Death Note Netflix movie, and I'm sorry if anyone who's seen this hasn't seen it. There's no point watching it anyways. It's kind of garbage, but actually it's not that bad. But it's okay. I'm just gonna say right here, if you don't want to be spoiled, I guess skip forward. I don't know, but I just want to add that there was a scene at the end where Light is kind of just in the hospital bed. He's kind of defeated, everything like that. But then L, he finds a page from the Death Note and sees like, oh yes, Light Yagami now. He sees that this is a perfect opportunity for Light Yagami to die. And I like what the Death Note movie did here, where Ryuk is just laughing. Like, we don't see L's face has like this distinct, like, we can't tell if he stops himself or if he's like, the deed is done. It's kind of like a weird facial expression from the actor. But then we don't really get to see, like, you know, the full, that much of it, and then whatever. We just see Ryuk, like, right afterwards, he's just laughing like humans are so interesting, and then the movie ends. That's just, it was so, I don't know, it was so kind of open to question, like, did L actually write down his name, like that explains like Ryuk's like, there's no true justice in the world, which is why humans are so weird? Or did L not write his name, so that's why Ryuk is like, there's two different sides of humans, which is why they're so interesting? So I like that open to question ending that Death Note movie had, that the original series didn't have. So maybe it has a moment like that where we see L potentially writing down Light's name, but then like, I don't know, the series ends or something. And yeah, I don't know, that was kind of drifting off into like another thing a little bit, because I didn't even mean to bring the Death Note movie up. It just kind of came like, oh, that could work. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say, dude. Would you like to add anything, new point, whatever, man?
Yeah, just one last thing. You got me thinking about like a possible alternative ending, because how you said like the series would end after they wrote their name. I think it would be a really interesting series ender for Ryuk to be writing down L's name, and then L to be writing down Light's name. And then it ends right there. Pretty open ending. Because, I mean, a lot of people criticize the ending of Death Note for being too rushed and being kind of anticlimactic. So, honestly, what we discussed today, I honestly think that if someone were to make a fanfic of L faking his own death, I would love to see that so much. But, guys, I think that's where we're going to end the discussion for today, so make sure to go to the description section below and subscribe to MrNinjaStar. He makes really awesome content, like I said before, One Piece, Death Note, Dragon Ball, and other anime. But with that, you guys all have a good day, and thank you for watching and listening.